Sally Edwards, and welcome to another episode of Craft the Story. This week we are going to talk about one of my favorite journaling techniques, and it's my answer to a question that I commonly get asked, which is, I want to write more, how do I write more? So this week we're going to focus on the topic of facts and feelings. Also, yes, there is a cat behind me. That's Sam, and he likes to get into the closet behind me, so he's sitting there and would like me to let him in. So in today's episode, we are going to talk about this topic of facts and feelings, and I'm just going to briefly kind of go over it for you, talk a little bit about why I recommend that as a journaling technique, and then I'm also going to put a page together using that technique as the basis for my journaling. The story that I'm going to tell is about going skiing yesterday. I took the girls, or Aaron and I, and the girls, and Isaac and Elliot, and Aaron's ex-wife. We all went skiing yesterday. It was a gorgeous, just amazing, beautiful day. So I'm going to tell the story of that day using the concept of facts and feelings. Now, a lot of times I think journaling can be really hard. It is definitely one of those things that takes practice. It takes you continuing to show up to the page in, whether you're writing by hand or you are using a computer. It's not easy, but it's possible. So, and actually my mom asked me recently, she was working on her December daily from last year, and she said she was having a little bit of trouble with the journaling, or, she wanted to include more words, but she wasn't sure how. And one of my favorite ways, like I said at the outset of this video, to do that is by including a combination of facts and feelings. And so let's break that down into what that actually looks like. Facts are things that you can see and touch, right? They are the who, the what, the where, and the when of your story. They are, who were you with? Were you by yourself? Were you with someone else? They are the what were you doing? The where, where was this? Where is this happening? They're all those basic sorts of things that I find are the easiest things to include in the story. Often, let's see, who, what, where, when, the time, right? Things that you don't have to be vulnerable about. That's another way to think about it too, is just by including those basic facts. So facts I always see as the easiest thing to get out of the way. The feelings is usually the why, right? The feelings are the why, and that tends to be a little more challenging. I think it's hard for people to feel vulnerable, it's just hard to be vulnerable, to tell a little bit more of your story, of the reason why. Why did you go on this adventure? Why do you love these people? Why is this even something that you want to document in the first place? So the feelings is really the idea of, pulling out all of these other pieces of the story that to me make it more meaningful and personalize it, right? Facts can be found in newspapers, right? Here's the facts of the story. Here's what happened. This is, where this happened, why, or not the why, but the when, and all those things. The actual why and the feelings is the next level thing. One of the easiest ways to use facts and feelings journaling, or that idea or that technique, is by using a list, right? Where you're literally, it can be bullet points, it can be numbers, you can use cute little embellishments. And the way that I like to recommend doing it is you start off with number one is fact. Here's some facts about what's happening, or here's one fact about what's happening. Number two can be another fact, or you could bring in a feeling, right? So number one, you wrote something, here's the facts about this thing. Number two, here's a feeling. Here's a feeling based, here's something that came out of my heart, out of, some other feeling about this story that you're trying to tell. And then number three, go back to facts again. So you're kind of giving yourself a break, and you're letting the story evolve through this list style journaling by including both the facts and the feelings. You can obviously do this in paragraph writing. If you're doing longer writing, you could have one paragraph be facts, you could have another paragraph be feelings, you could go back to some more facts and then add in some more feelings. It's really, when I think about it, or when I talk about it, I see it as a kind of way to not just say, only write feelings, right? Like I really do feel like the feelings are one of the most important parts because it explains so much more about the story of why it was important to you in the first place. But I want to have the combination of both of those things in my journaling. So the reason why I find lists to be the easiest is because it's very straightforward, right? Here's my number 1 thing, here's my number 2 thing, here's my number 3 thing, here's my number 4 thing. And I can go back and forth between including both facts and feelings. And that's actually what I'm going to do on the project that I am going to put together today. So the way that I am starting this one out, you can see that I've printed out, this is a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. I printed this out on the 13 by 19. We talked about full page photo foundations recently in a prior episode. And this is kind of that similar idea, but you can see what I did here this time is I have 3 photos. These are all 6 by 6, and then I left this space blank down here because I'm going to be able to build something else on top of that. Most likely my journaling is going to go in this space, and then I can put embellishments in other places around the page, which I haven't figured out exactly what I'm going to do yet, but that's part of the process in this video. I pulled out a couple things that I might want to work with, a couple of the pattern papers from the Heart Story Kit, or the Heart scrapbook kit, and then I also pulled out the March Stories by the Month kit from this year, and so I'm thinking I might include some of that on here as I dive into this. Also, in terms of photography on this page, I took a variety of photos on the day, but what I decided to include, I wanted one that includes the 4 of us girls that went. This is one that's Audrey and Anna together, and I love having pictures of the 2 of them. And then this is Anna actually taking pictures of the mountain and being up there, and so I kind of liked that one too. And here's a lot of sky, right? I can work with that sky to add journaling or embellishments or other things on there. This is also a photo that I could have used on its own. I mean, any of these photos I could have used on its own. Most of them had a lot of sky and or more snow. Like this one was a wider photo, originally had more snow where I could have added things over there. But this time I wanted to include all 3 photos on the page. So that's what I'm going to be working on. And I'm going to do list-based journaling, or a journaling in a list on here. And I'm going to use that idea of facts and feelings to tell my story. Let's go ahead and dive into that process. Okay, so a couple choices I have when I'm looking at this. This is photo paper, so it's got the slick surface. I'm most likely going to add something on top. Sometimes when I print something like this where I have all, photos that are already in a grid format like this, sometimes I will cut them out so that I can maybe lift one up a little bit, use some foam adhesive underneath it, give the page itself a little bit more dimension. As lots of you guys know, I'm doing a combination of sizes, and so sometimes I do 6 by 8, sometimes I do 12 by 12, sometimes I do 9 by 12, and sometimes I do 8.5 by 11. I don't really have a rhyme or a reason for why I pick a certain page size. It's just really, what do I feel like doing today? And then I have albums that these can, homes for these projects to be able to go into. So a couple things that I've looked at when I was looking at the March Stories by the Month kit, there's this one that's got all the love, and I kind of like that idea because I could always just add a journaling card on here and then have my facts and feelings journaling added in. This pattern is not going to fit exactly, so I might need to pick out a different pattern, but I was going to see if that it's pretty close, but not close enough. All right, so I did a couple things. I just jumped off here and, stuff happens, things are going on. I decided to do a second page that I'm going to add to this, which was one of the other photos that I took on this ski day. You can see that I haven't trimmed it out yet, but I'm going to just pair this as a second page, either on this side or that side. I haven't decided yet. I'm also definitely thinking that some of these cards from the March Stories by the Month kit will work really well on here. Kind of looking at, what can I combine a couple of these things together? What if I add, these 2 guys here? If I put all the love here, could I put maybe a strip of yellow washi? I was gonna see what I had for that. I might not have any yellow right now. We'll see. Something that could go along the bottom. And then, looking a little bit at one of these hearts. I kind of like the just love with the gray, or the thankful. One of these gray ones is probably the one that I will bring into this page, and that might go on this side. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at right now. It's kind of playing around with what is going to make the most sense. And then I will be tackling the journaling. So using facts and feelings again, which is what I talked about. Another thing that I do with when I'm using facts and feelings, even with the list style journaling, is I will literally write out fact, ... here's the fact, or facts, ... feelings, ... So that's another way you can organize that. If you don't want to write in a list maybe, or you don't want to write in paragraph, or you could do it as a list, you know, like a 1 through 5 list or whatever, where it's like fact, here's the details, feelings, here's the details, fact, here's the details, feeling, here's the details. Lots of different ways that you can approach this, but it's using it in a very literal fashion to help pull the stories out of you so that you can go back and forth between facts and feelings rather than feeling like you have to write it in a more academic style. All right, so I'm gonna trim this photo out, and then one of the things I'm thinking about with the journaling is I might type up my journaling and then have it in strips that just go onto the photo, like a fact strip and a feeling strip, a fact strip and a feeling strip, a fact strip and a feeling strip that targets each one of those photos. And then I could just put a little bit on here like ski day, you know, day at the mountain looked like this, something like that I think would work well here too. So those are a couple things that are on my mind. I can always handwrite directly on the photos. I could use a white Posca paint pen, or a black pen also would work fine on there. But I think I'm probably going to type it up. And then I also think that I will type up my journaling to go on here. That's just kind of what I feel like I'm into right now, is having a little bit more of the type journaling. And you can go watch my day in the life video that I was posted last week, where I show how I print on physical journal cards, how I go through that process. There's a little bit of that included in that video. So I've got the March things out. I also, this is spring break, so this could work on here too. I'm also really into these triangle ones that might be fun to add on here, maybe over there. I'm gonna just pull those out so I can think of that, and I'm liking the less is more too. So I might end up just using this and not using the hearts on this particular page, unless I use one of the Just Love. But I feel like this is a good opportunity to use some of this, the products from that March kit. So maybe I'll just go ahead and do that. There was this embracing the change of seasons. I feel like that could happen too. That would be another option that I could add on there. Because it is a seasonal change. Like, it was so awesome when we went skiing. It was warm, like people were taking their coats off, bright sunny day, a little bit of sunburn on a few people in our crew. So that one would work also, either one of these two. I'm kind of wondering, I could just pair these like down here where I'm just kind of making a little collage in this space of these patterns. That would be something too. All right, I think what I'm gonna do first is I am going to go ahead and I'm gonna set up journaling on top of this card that gives probably just facts, right, about what, where we went, you know, when it was, what we were doing, right, those kinds of details. I'm gonna print that on here, and then I'm also going to print out some smaller little strips of paper that have fact with some dots, and then whatever it is, and then feeling and whatever it is. And then I'll come back on here and we'll continue working through this page. Okay, as I was going over to my computer to start typing up the journaling, I decided that I wanted to pivot and I was going to handwrite my journaling instead. And part of the reason why was, as I did one last look at what I had here on my table, one of the things that stood out to me was I have this around here card, and I'm going to cut it up, and I'm going to use this as a jumping off point for facts and feelings, because as you heard, what I wanted to do was put, you know, fact, feeling, fact, feeling, fact, feeling, and I can do that with these numbered things here by just cutting them up, and then I can handwrite a little bit of journaling right on there, and then still figure out what do I want to add here on the bottom, which might be those two cards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this card up here, which as many of you guys know, especially those of you who are Stories Kit subscribers, I love cutting up journaling cards. It's like one of the things that I feel like I really do often now. Let's see. So I'm gonna make these like 2.75. And then we'll do the same on these ones. So I'm gonna come a little bit closer just so that they're similar in terms of how much is over on the edge there. Let's see, try to get them, kind of line them up here so that they're going to be the same width as the ones below. And then we'll do 2.75, and then we'll trim these up too. And if you don't have this March kit, this is one that we do have available digitally, so you can pick that up if you want to, and I'll link that below. You can also, I'll probably save this part because this can be used as a title in the future. But I'm gonna try to get super right in between these two colors. Sometimes that works and sometimes it's a little more challenging, but I'm just gonna try as best as I can to get right in the middle there. And this obviously, as you can tell, is not going to be super long journaling because these are small little spots, but it will definitely give me the opportunity to identify one fact and then one feeling about each of these three, the three images that I have here on the second page of this spread. Okay, yeah, this is gonna be fun. I like this. I like being able to play with this. The other thing that I saw here too is I do have these. It looks like though these are going to be a little bit too, like the journaling on them or the titles on them are a little bit too long. I thought about, you know, maybe these would be, I could add these at the top and have like a stack of 3 things on each one of these. But that doesn't work out exactly how I anticipated, which is fine. All right, so what I need to do next is let's deal with the journaling, kind of figure out where on the page these are going to go. I like the idea of anchoring them along the edge, but they could also be right in the middle here, you know, or in random places. They don't have to line up with the edge of the photo themselves, and maybe this will work out just fine, just like this anyway. And I can put my 5 and my 6 right there. Now I could adhere these down first, right? That's an option. Or I can just actually do the writing first and then adhere them down. I'm just kind of playing around with looking at, do I want them to be kind of like that, like it's a little bit of a stair step. The other thing I could do is these could act as the top, those ones are the bottom. So yeah, okay, let's just take those out of there because I kind of like how this is right now. So what I need to identify right now, fact and feeling for each one of these photos. I think that I do have, I know at one point in time we did, I'm pretty sure we did a facts and a feeling stamp set. I'm gonna have to look and see if I have that, because if I do, I might already have like a little stamp that just says fact and a little stamp that says feeling. So I'm gonna look through my stuff and see if I have that first. Otherwise, I'm just going to dive into the journaling. All right, so I did find a stamp set that has the stamp fact and feeling. And in fact, we've had it on a number of different, but those two sentiments on a number of different stamp sets. Some from past one little word stamp sets. I saw one on an old story kit called Black and White. So there's a number of places that it's popped up. This particular one little word stamp set has it in a size that I'm gonna be able to just stamp it right on to those strips. So this is gonna work perfect for what I was hoping to do. is cool with this idea of fact and feeling is, like in this case where I'm leaving myself just a little bit of space for the journaling on these strips, I can literally do like a 1-word or a 2-word feeling. So I'm really centering in on what is my actual feeling in the moment as I look at these pictures. And I like that it's another opportunity to not have to think in full sentences necessarily, which we don't always think that way anyway. But you could literally just put like feeling is, you know, warm, happy, something like that. I don't know if I'm going to do that yet, or if I'm actually going to write, you know, loved this because when you say loved this because, most of the time you're probably going to go into a feeling, right? Love this because blah, blah, blah. I mean, I did a whole video on love you because, right? I'm pretty sure that I did that already. But anyway, I like the idea that we could just use single words even as we're telling a story. I think some of you guys will also laugh at this. When I was looking for the, you know, where did we have fact and feeling stamps potentially, I texted Katie, who's worked with me for a million years now, because her memory, she's a little bit younger, and her memory, I think, is way better than mine. And I said, you know, and I did just search on our site too to see if I could see some of them come up, but we don't categorize our stamps with like every single individual word that would be found on those stamps. And so she said, oh, I see it on, you know, a couple different 1-little-word stamps. So then I went into my box that I have here, and I was able to look at the 1-little-word ones, and this is the first one that I pulled out, and that's how I found where that one was. So I think for this one, I'm going to do it in a very obvious way in terms of the words that I'm choosing on there, just to kind of give you an additional example of what it can look like, you know, for this one. So the fact of this one is Anna pausing to take a picture, you know, pausing as we're skiing, coming down off the top of the mountain, and then feeling, you know, something related to how I feel about the fact that she would do that, which is, you know, I love the fact that she would want to take a picture and document as she's experiencing this fun thing. So it'll be something like that. And this one would be, you know, fact, Anna and Audrey standing at the top of the mountain, and then how I feel about that. And then fact, the 4 of us girls riding the chairlift. And then how I feel about that as well. And then again, I'm going to write a little bit more in this section here, I think. I'm kind of going back and forth. I switched this card out. I had a different card, and then I was thinking maybe this one fits a little bit better with the story that I'm telling. But I could also add a pattern on here, like potentially this is one from the Heart Story Kit, like that, and just take this card here and have that be the journaling itself. So I have lots of different options in front of me that I'm kind of considering. So I'm gonna hang on to that and finish up these ones first, and then I'll move on to that next piece. So let's talk a little bit about what I chose to write on these. Remember that these are just examples, right? There's so many different ways that you can approach this, but focusing in on that idea of fact and feeling. So here on this first one, I said fact, Anna stopped to take a photo of the beauty. Feeling, I love that she found joy through the lens. So a lot of times when I'm doing feeling-based writings, I will focus them on love and gratitude. That's just kind of, it's a part of my own documenting voice, I think, is those are the things that I lean on when I'm looking for a story to tell, especially about an event. You know, here we went skiing. I loved it. It was super fun. But there's always angles of gratitude for me, and there's always angles of what are, you know, the things that I loved about it. And really overall, this was like one of my best days on the mountain. I just had so much fun. And I hope that that comes through in the words that I choose to say here too. So here, fact, Anna and Audrey at the top of Hoodoo. Feeling, so thankful for their loving relationship. part of this too is I've done lots of stories about the two of them together. And so this is an opportunity to just highlight that again. And again, gratitude, right? Thankful that this is something that they enjoy doing together. They're super different. I'm just, you know, lots of feelings about that for me in terms of how I feel thankful that they're going to have this experience of growing up together. And then last one is I put fact, Audrey, me, Anna, and Erin writing to the top. Erin is Audrey's mom. And so then I said, so delighted to be friends with Erin. So thinking in terms of that, I could also, my feelings could also be things like, let's see, I'm trying to, I had conflicting thoughts come in right then. One of the ones was I was going to say, like, I'm feeling warm. But warm, like, warm is, to me, is going to be more of a fact, right? That is, it's a feeling because you felt that way, but it's really more of a fact. Feelings to me, when I'm thinking about feelings-based journaling, it's more like what's coming out of your heart. Like, what does the inside of you feel about this rather than your physical feelings, I guess is kind of what I'm trying to say. All right, so I've got those guys. I'm not going to adhere them down just yet. I'm going to wait a minute as I kind of figure out the rest of this page here and what the other things are I might want to include. I want to look at I'm going to cut up this other piece of pattern paper so I could see a little bit of what does that look like if I was to do that on here. Let's see. You can see that I did kind of play around a little bit with just adding these on. Sometimes I just like having that full page photo there as a complement to the photo or to the page that has the, you know, that's more content heavy, as you could say. So I'm going to cut this up and let's see what happens. I know it's going to be probably a little bit bigger, but just so that I can kind of get a sense of what would this look like if that was on there. And then I have this card on top. Okay, so this is kind of fun. I have an idea. We're gonna test it out and see what happens. You saw me add that piece of chipboard on there. It just happens to be the same size. So one thing that I can do is, because I've organized my chipboard, I might have some more pieces that are that same size that I could repeat on these other ones to create this little, kind of a little gathering, right? Basically a journaling embellishment sort of thing there that's created with those strips paired with the strips paired with the chipboard. So let's see what else. These ones are, it's not in this one, but, oh, but I just did see this So Love This Day one that I think I've pulled out a couple times. Could do it with that as like a rainbowy. That might be fun. That might be fun too. Okay, so I definitely have some more of these. Let's see what we can find in this little thing. I think that these ones are longer, right? Yeah. This is kind of my random sized one. If these work out, it will be kind of just luck, I think. So that one is this long. Let's see if I have any other ones. This particular die is one that we have used some, but not a million times. I've got one that says Remembering You that's in black. That would actually work. It doesn't have to be like so, you know, like Remembering You doesn't mean that it has to be somebody that's passed away too. Let's see, we got traditions. This one's not really a tradition just yet, so I don't feel like I can use that one. I could still use that This Morning one. Let's see if there's any other ones that look like it. The other thing I was going to see is some of these ones, in case there was one of these that was shorter. Super Normal Day wouldn't really work. So I could look through these ones that are the tabs. Let's just see why we're pulling these out. I could also add these to the top of these guys, something like that. That's another option. So let's see, if I did these, this one would need to come down a little bit. Let's see, which one would I pick? Even like the take, I mean, I feel a little bit of like take action because that's what it felt like doing this. There was that Say Yes. That might be a little bit too much Too much color. I don't know. We've got a lot of, you know, the background is very blue. Let's see if we take that guy over there. Kind of like this bright yellowy one. I kind of like that. I think I'm going to go with that. That's a good way to use up some of these pieces. I also think that I'm going to lift up these journaling spots up off the bottom of the thing, or off the bottom of the picture there, with foam adhesive. I also think I am going to use these two, and I was going to look at the other circle ones. The less is, there's a lot of less is more in that March Stories by the Month kit, which is great. I just don't know that that's, maybe Love This Place. That's better. That one just popped up. That's right there. Okay, that'll work great. All right. Okay, so now I'm feeling pretty good about this. I think I'm going to go ahead and let's get some adhesive on the backs of those guys there. to call this one good. I like how it turned out. I think that this is a fun way to kind of explain and talk a little bit about this idea of facts and feelings based journaling. And again, this is just the number one thing that I tell people to try. Like, it just gives you something to focus on, especially if you're feeling like most of your journaling is fact based. If you invite a feeling sentence or a feeling paragraph or a feeling bullet point, I think that it's just a simple way to get you going, to help you identify what are your feelings about these stories that you're telling, or this particular story that you are diving into. As always, let me know if you guys have any questions about this project or this week's topic. And if you're enjoying these videos, please feel free to hit subscribe. And if you have questions, let me know in the comments below, and we'll see you back here again next week.